Around 9 a.m. on New Year's morning, 1963, two young men were searching for golf balls hit out of bounds from a nearby golf course near Sydney's Cove River when they stumbled upon the bodies of a man and a woman. Evidence of vomiting and excreta were located at the scene, and the bodies were partially naked. Strangely, the man was covered in a strip of carpet with his clothing draped over him. The woman was covered in flattened beer cartons. They could not have done this themselves. Apart from superficial scratches and abrasions, there were no obvious signs of injury. The woman was 29-year-old Margaret Chandler, a homemaker, married to scientist Jeffrey Chandler. The couple were the parents of two young boys. The man was 38-year-old Dr. Gilbert Bogle, a Rhodes Scholar and physicist with the Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organisation, the CSIRO. Bogle was a work colleague of Jeffrey Chandler's, the pair based out of the University of Sydney. The trio were members of the Sydney Push, a bohemian libertarian subculture made up of scientists, academics, artists and writers who sought to challenge Australian society's conservative values, including the concept of marital fidelity. At a CSIRO Christmas party, Dr. Bogle had become captivated by his colleague's wife. It was obvious that Mrs. Chandler welcomed his attention. Seeing another woman himself, on the drive home from the party, Jeffrey Chandler told Margaret, "If you want to take Gib as a lover, if it would make you happy, you do it." On New Year's Eve 1962, the trio attended a CSIRO New Year's Eve party in the Sydney suburb of Chatswood. Dr. Bogle and Mrs. Chandler seemed enamoured with each other. Partway through the evening, Jeffrey left to join his lover at a Sydney Push get-together across the harbour. When Jeffrey Chandler returned to the Chatswood party, he asked Margaret if she wanted to go home with him. She declined, preferring to stay at the party with Dr. Bogle. Around 4 a.m, Dr. Bogle and Mrs. Chandler left the party and drove to a nearby Lover's Lane along the banks of the Cove River. Parking the car near Fuller's Bridge, the couple walked south along a track and found a quiet place beside the river where they could continue their liaison. Like most homicide investigations involving extramarital affairs, police immediately considered Jeffrey Chandler as the person of interest in the case. But the circumstances were baffling, no obvious cause of death being found. The involvement of a third party at the scene, the person or persons who covered Bogle and Chandler, is believed simply to have been someone who stumbled upon the bodies, who wanted to preserve their dignity, but did not report the matter to police. Extensive analysis by forensic pathologists in relation to drug overdose or poisoning was conducted on the organs of Bogle and Chandler, but nothing was identified. An extensive coronial inquest into the death resulted in an open finding. Over the years, many conspiracy theories arose, particularly surrounding Bogle's research into paramagnetic resonance in the CSIRO's Division of Radiophysics, and its implications that he may have been involved in developing technologies of interest to Cold War enemies. But in 2006, a theory was presented that Bogle and Chandler were victims, not of a person, but of the river itself. Since the 1940s, there had been complaints by residents on the river of breathing difficulties and the strong smell of rotten eggs. It was found that pollution of the Lane Cove River had led to high concentrations of sulphur. Conducive weather conditions on New Year's morning 1963 and their location close to the river could account for Bogle and Chandler being overcome by a release of hydrogen sulfide gas from the river, resulting disorientation, panic, and death. The wrong place at the wrong time. Without conclusive evidence, the deaths of Dr. Bogle and Mrs. Chandler remain a mystery more than half a century later.